When I posted my first thoughts video about Lightyear the other day, discussing its business and awards prospects, one of you excitedly asked me in the comments section if this was like an extended version of the now classic opening for Toy Story 2, where Buzz takes on Zurg. And to that I say, no, it's not like that at all. Taika Waititi does a voice in this movie. He does not write and direct it. And perhaps he should have. Perhaps he should have. When I think of his Thor movies, both Thor Ragnarok and the upcoming Love and Thunder, I think that's what people are expecting from a Buzz Lightyear movie. But you're not getting that. Instead, Angus MacLane is the writer-director, well, co-writer-director, who joined Pixar in the late 90s, where Toy Story 2 was actually one of the first films that he ever worked on there. And over the years, as I learned from the Buzz Lightyear documentary on Disney Plus right now, but don't watch it because it gives away too much of the movie. But they say, they also showed some really great behind-the-scenes footage though, so I would watch that documentary after you see the movie. But MacLane became the Buzz expert at Pixar, who other animators would go to for advice on how to get the character just right. And I'm like, that's interesting, because I think Buzz has been diluted over the years from that first movie. But also, MacLane has written and directed a few Toy Story shorts, not my favorite ones, but popular ones, and maybe you liked them. But this is his first feature, his first feature film. And I'm surprised they give such an important gig to someone who had never directed a movie before. Even if he was a Buzz expert. I mean, he could have easily advised someone else on this project. But it's not fair to put it all on MacLane, as he is a product of Pixar, and I think Lightyear speaks a lot to how Pixar has evolved over the years as an animation studio and what their priorities are. And you won't get a clearer picture of that evolution than watching the first Toy Story, which I did last night with some of you in BTT Movie Club, and their latest movie, Lightyear. They are light years apart, these two movies. Pixar has become far more message-focused and far less focused on popcorn entertainment. They're all about the message and the meaning of the movie, but they're not so much about, knocking your socks off, even though there is a character in this movie called Socks. So that's not to say that Lightyear isn't a good movie. In fact, I'm going to be ranking all the Pixar movies later this week, but I've already made my list up because I'm getting ready to do that video, and I'll just tell you that Lightyear is in my top 10. But that's because I really like the film's multiple messages, I love the characters, and I really like the world it creates. But fun? I would not describe Lightyear as a fun movie. It's certainly no Toy Story. Again, very, very different movies. I mean, they're not the same brand, in my opinion. And I also don't understand why Andy would ever buy a toy based on this movie. That's the whole point of this movie. When it starts, they say, this is the movie that got Andy to love Buzz Lightyear. And I'm like, who would watch this movie that's such a sad and adult story and a character that has so many horrible, tragic things happen to him and say, I want that action figure as a child? I think adults might be into it, but I don't see a child wanting to buy a Buzz Lightyear action figure after seeing this movie. As for Zurg, wow, we will have a lot to discuss in the spoiler review. And I hope nobody ruins that reveal for you, because it's a choice, all right. Not just a creative choice, but a business choice, because I wonder how it will affect the Lightyear brand going forward. Like, there's no way you could keep Space Ranger Spin, the ride, the way it is with the changes made to Zurg. Now, in my first thoughts video, I talked about the great message Lightyear has, my favorite message in the film, about participation trophies really being a person's first trophy as they work their way up to bigger trophies, and that showing up matters, just the act of being there, physically and mentally. I thought that was great. I love that message. It blew me away. And please go check out my first reaction video for my full thoughts on that. But I promised you I would touch on some of the other messages here as well, but don't worry, no spoilers. So Buzz Lightyear is not gay, but his partner in the Space Ranger program is, and it's done so organically, so naturally, that I forgot to address it in my first thoughts video. I mean, I think it's perfectly done, and it's very overt. It's very overt, and as you can see, as a result, the film has been already banned in some countries, which is a real shame. I think Alicia Hawthorne's relationship is beautiful, but it's only a part of her. She's an amazing character who has so many great qualities. And Uzo Aduba does an incredible job with the voice work here. This might be Pixar's best female action hero since Elastigirl, aka Helen Parr. And Alicia isn't just good in the field, but she's a great military leader and Buzz's best friend. A great character. Love this character. Lightyear, I gotta tell you, is also about toxic masculinity. And I think by implication, toxic white masculinity. And all that spins out of that. And a lot of really bad things have to happen to Buzz, many of which are his own fault, to break him of that habit. And to make him acknowledge and recognize those around him, both as people and their value. Some of you might be imagining the worst. I think it's all done very well. But that's definitely the storyline to some degree that they've gone with. Now, they might, I mean, I interviewed Angus MacLane the other day, and maybe that's not his intention. Maybe it's not the team's intention, but I think it's definitely there in the film. You'll certainly see what I'm talking about when you see it, because I don't want to give some things away. But that whole thing leads to an exploration of mistakes, why we make them, but also how we deal with them, especially the ones that can't be fixed, and how sometimes good can still come from mistakes. I thought that was really, that really made me think. There's a question posed here, a fork in the road, which I thought was fascinating. Now, this is a Disney Pixar movie, so while they might not have thought about the greater implications for what they've done to Buzz and Zurg as characters, they do have plenty of fun merch and theme park ideas, not so subtly sprinkled out throughout the movie. Like, for instance, the way you make Crystallic Fusion looks a lot like a Slushy Machine. I'm like, oh, you're going to be able to make your own Crystallic Fusion drink, I bet. And I'm actually looking forward to that. I hope they do that. In addition to the messages of the film, as I said, I really love the characters. Chris Evans uses his Captain America image quite well here to deliver a performance that is funny, but also very nuanced. But having just watched Toy Story again, as I said the other day, last night, Tim Allen can deliver a similarly funny but nuanced performance, as he did in the first Toy Story movie. I have no idea why Andy would imagine his toy having a different voice than the movie character that inspired him to buy the toy in the first place. That makes no sense to me. And as I watched Lightyear, I did think for a moment, well, if this is true of Buzz, does that mean if we saw an origin of Woody and Jessie, would their characters have different voices? I mean, we saw the TV show in Toy Story 2. It was not different voices, but I guess with the way Pixar is today, they'd cast new people in those roles to make it more serious. But Tim Allen's capable of doing the serious story. So as good as Chris Evans is, and I think, the idea is that he would bring a lot of fans to this story because of his star power. He's certainly more popular than Tim Allen is right now, although not with the nostalgia play, I don't think. Tim Allen is Buzz Lightyear. And I think Pixar, again, as good as Chris Evans is, they should have kept Tim Allen. And I think it might have added a bit more fun to the film, because in this documentary I watched, they said that Tim Allen added a lot to the character in the first movie. And Tim Allen would have injected more fun into this film while retaining some of the more serious elements that I think are important to Pixar, particularly today. I'm very curious to hear what you think about whether or not they should have stuck with Tim Allen. And just take a step back and don't have an emotional reaction to it, but see Chris Evans' performance and then think about it. Keke Palmer's Izzy Hawthorne is fantastic. I love her. And over a decade after The Princess and the Frog, it's really great to see Disney have two such wonderful main, lead black female characters. Well, strong supporting. It's, Buzz is the through line of the movie. And it's, black women is a demographic that doesn't get enough representation in Hollywood at all, much less in animation. Live action actresses, black actresses, would love to have these roles in a movie. They're incredible. And congrats to Aduba and Palmer, who knock it out of the park here. I love these characters. And of course, Palmer is playing Aduba's granddaughter. So Waititi and Dale Soules from Orange is the New Black, by the way, do manage to inject some comedic relief here and there. Then, of course, there's Sox, voiced by Pixar's own Peter Sohn. And please check out my interview with Angus MacLane and producer Galen Sussman, who have a really great story to share about Peter Sohn voicing the character here. But this is a brilliant creation, and Sohn also knocks it out of the park, and a character audiences will fall in love with. I suspect we'll see a lot more of Sox across the Disney empire. We're talking merch, theme parks, Disney Plus, etc., more than any other character in this movie. This is the character that everyone's going to gravitate towards. And when you see the movie, you'll totally understand why I say that. So that's my non-spoiler review of Lightyear. I don't think it's what anyone was asking for when it came to a Buzz Lightyear movie. And I think, so we'll see if audiences are pleasantly surprised or bitterly disappointed. As for me, I'd say I'm pleasantly surprised, especially after I thought about the movie. When I was watching the movie, I was like, what's going on here? What's going on? What are you doing here? It doesn't seem complete. But once I connected all the pieces of what they were trying to say, I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. and I'm planning to go see it again. I actually already have tickets to go see it again. So I was pleasantly surprised. But after seeing Toy Story again, and when I think of what a Buzz Lightyear movie could have been, again, as I said, especially after rewatching Toy Story, I'm a little bit disappointed. So I'm happy with what I got, but it's not as good as what we could have gotten. All right, so that's my review of Lightyear hitting theaters only this Friday. Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.